You're listening to the PT Pintcast, where smart people in healthcare come to make noise. Here's your host, Jimmy McKay.
That's me. Thanks, voice guy. All right, today, he's not a PT, but he's on a mission to solve a real PT problem. It involves money. While most clinic owners focus on patients, outcomes, and staffing, all good things to focus on, you should also be focusing on other things. Today's guest zoomed in on a line item most of us ignore till it's too late. Supplies, the stuff, all the stuff in between, the fascia, the cartilage, the stuff that you're like, well, it's important, but it's in between. Yes, that falls apart. Everything else sort of falls apart. From exam gloves to resistance bands, he saw how bloated the system had become and decided to blow it up from the inside. Now he helps clinic owners slash costs, boost revenue with retail products, and finally get the transparency they've always deserved. Joseph Lowe is on the show. Joseph, welcome, man.
Thank you very much for having me. Excited.
So let's go back quickly. I don't want to make this a whole superhero origin story, but like, why you, why this problem? Like, why you, why this?
So I would love to say it's because my mom's a physical therapist, which is true. She is.
She?
But
Oh, that's all right. So all right. So I didn't know that. There's a line. Good. Got it.
There's a little bit of a line, but I wish I could have some sob story about how, my mom's PT and I just, she was getting killed with all these different pricing and wages and whatnot. And that would be the reason. But of course, that's not the case. But anyways, I started selling stuff online in high school, just basic stuff with my older brothers, all the type of drop shipping stories you hear about, e-commerce, running Facebook ads. And we were selling millions of dollars of stuff, and which is why I decided to leave college. And that's like when I first got a peek at kind of really how big companies and just how the world works in terms of there's factories overseas. You can buy stuff just like, Apple, they don't make their own stuff. They partner up with factories. NVIDIA, they don't make their own chips. They partner up with factories. So I kind of learned, how that business works. And eventually years go by, I'm still selling stuff online, doing consulting and whatnot. And then I met a physical therapist who wanted me to help him sell some of these resistance bands that he had created, these pure bands. And when I first got in the business, I told him, I was like, hey, look, just selling one resistance band for a premium price is just not going to work. People go to Amazon, like it's just not a great business idea, just that one band. But when I got a peek into the physical therapy industry, talking to small clinic owners, medium-sized groups, I started to see what they were paying for products. And I started to kind of understand how the business is set up. And like what really didn't make any sense to me was physical therapists, large clinics and medium clinics, it's not just small clinics, by the way, were paying what I would classify as close to retail pricing for products, not MSRP, but maybe 10 to 20% off pricing that patients or consumers could see on a Prime Day, or, not like what I would classify as wholesale pricing. Like when Walmart buys something from a manufacturer or brand, they're getting wholesale pricing. They're then going to mark it up about 100%, 75 to 100%. And the consumer always pays the highest price. But like for physical therapy, I don't have a specific data point. It's impossible to prove, but I kind of make the case that there's 9 or 10 figures of direct to consumer revenue driven by the physical therapy industry. As in, you walk in as a patient, you see a certain brand, even if your patient, even if the PT doesn't tell you, hey, go buy this product or we sell it, you still see it, you still use it. And more often than not, you're more inclined to, you're in the know, and you're more inclined to buy that product than another random product that you don't know about. And there's, the PT industry is growing, and I don't know exactly how many patients get seen every year, but it's an 8-figure number. And I was wondering, like, are any of these companies, PTs, ATI, Select Medical, any of these companies, do any of them have brand deals? Like, do any of these product companies pay them? Hey, look, you saw 1.2 million patients last year. We want to give you $100,000 because we know that, down the line, these people are going to go to Amazon. They're going to go to our website, whatever. You don't have to sell anything. None of that was true. And on top of that, I kind of realized that those same companies weren't actually getting what I would, if you're a company that large, I just automatically assumed that they would be getting just rock bottom kind of pricing. And
because you're buying at scale, like because of that. Yeah.
Because you're buying at scale. And there are it's different for every kind of product and brand, but there are some cases where companies are getting fantastic pricing from distributors, but generally speaking, that's on the generic side. Like if a distributor makes and imports products themselves, they obviously have way more price flexibility than if a large group wants to buy a name brand product, which I'm sure you're familiar with, like a company like TheraBand, for example.
Sure.
If you order from a distributor, like TheraBand has to make money, the distributor has to make money. So just the pricing that you can pay is going to be higher than if a distributor imports something themselves. They don't have to pay another company. They have kind of more room. So just putting all this together, I just kind of saw like a big opportunity to deliver. I don't want to become a distributor with 10,000 SKUs, just focusing on the top 20 to 40 items, stretching straps, resistance bands, that kind of stuff that clinics order, especially small clinics. They order often and get them better pricing, but also kind of participate and include them in the revenue generation process. They want to retail stuff. They get what I would say actual wholesale pricing, and with margins to where they're retailing it and actually making, enough money for it to be worth it.
So to me, I came in as an outsider too. Like, this is my second career, right? I'm just the big dumb radio guy who gave away beer and concert tickets and then decided for some reason to be a PT. There's a couple different ways that I see this, and you tell me what I'm missing, because I'm probably not seeing all the angles, right? There's the one, if you walk into a clinic and they're using a Rogue squat rack and they're using this brand of straps and this band of this and this, like, that has value, right? That inherently has value. Also, if I'm buying something that I use every single day, every single week, every single month, I want to at least be getting a better rate, because like, I'm a loyal customer and I shouldn't be paying retail. I should be paying maybe not wholesale, but something in the middle of that. I'm not even sure is there a term for that? Like, you're an affiliate,
like professional pricing.
Professional pricing, right? Yeah. I'm not buying one of these. I'm buying a massage gun because these, I use the hell out of it. I'm buying one for every therapist times 10 times 3 a year, whatever it might be. Like, I shouldn't be paying what the guy down the street is when he buys one per year. I agree with that. Then there's the other aspect that I am still confused. And I know that there are smarter people than me, but I'm not saying no people do it, but how more clinics aren't retail centers. To me, I have been told over and over again, it doesn't make sense. And I still don't understand that, because when I get my oil changed, they sell me air fresheners and windshield wipers and other things. So what else? So let's do the stream part first. What are the streams of value? Let's not even call it revenue, value. Because me seeing the Rogue squat rack at my buddy's clinic has value. So maybe I'm not going to move 10 of those, or it's hard to track. But I feel like if someone asked me, my buddy's a mechanic, whatever he tells me to buy, I buy it. Want to know why? Because I want to stop when I stop. So when he tells me what kind of brakes to buy, I don't question it. I don't look for the cheaper version of brakes. I just wanted to solve my problem, because of that adage that I was taught, buy once, cry once, if you buy the right thing. That's why I got these Sony headphones a billion years ago in radio, because they were, 40% more expensive. And I've dropped these 4,000 times and they're still great. I could have got cheaper ones. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't have survived half the drops and they wouldn't sound as good. So let's go with streams. How many different avenues of revenue did I miss? Or I should say, let's not do revenue, value. Like, I should be either making money from this or at least saving more money on this.
Yeah. So if you start with when you walk into a clinic, even if they don't sell anything, that they're using a Rogue squat rack, or they're using all these different products, right. That value is really only for the large groups, to be frank. Like, if you're a single clinic owner and you're like, hey, I want a brand deal because I saw 10 people last week, I'd be like, that's like not how this works. But if I live in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, 2 minutes from my house is Select Medical. Right. They have, last time I checked, their public records, 1,976 odd physical therapy locations. They have, they're the biggest one in the country. A couple friends that work at corporate, and talking with them, I was dying laughing, just hearing, what they're paying for stuff. And he basically said, Joseph, if someone comes up with a good idea, if it doesn't instantly generate 9 figures of revenue for this company, 8 to 9 people just don't even pay attention. Wow. And so anyways, that's a story for another time. But if you're a company of that size, I was like, it just didn't make any sense to me that a company that can see, they see over 1 million patients a year. And I talked to them, how much money have you, in retail, sponsorship deals, brand deals, anything that has to do with products or supplies, how much money did you generate? And the answer is pretty much zero. Now, there might be, I don't want to say a zero across the board because there might have been a couple clinics that sold something and then Select acquired them, whatever the case is, but pretty much zero. So for large groups, kind of brand deals at the top. Below that is going to be retailing products in person, which get to that in a second. The third option is what people need to understand is you can still make money becoming an affiliate, or you can refer people to, like if you have a portal, say, hey, use this link, get, we make 10, 20, 30%, whatever the case is. But it is impossible to make the same amount of money because of shipping. Like in e-commerce, shipping is everything. Shipping is like, that's one thing I learned at a very young age, that like when you're importing products and like optimizing your shipping cost and logistics is literally most of what I spend my time on, to be honest. Like getting products into the hands of therapists for as cheap as humanly possible is not easy. And if you want to buy one stretching strap or whatever, shipping is probably 3x the product cost
of the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It changes, but like on soft goods, kinesiology tape, it's almost impossible to ship something for less than $5 most of the time, even if it's super light. So if you're getting a stretching strap, product cost is under $3 landed, and then someone's going to pay $6 or $7 for shipping. Like there's just not enough money.
That math doesn't matter.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense, which is why most people say product like patient retail, which we'll get into in a second, is impossible because the margins and the math doesn't work with the current system, current setup that most clinics are used to. So you got the brand deals at the top. Then you have, if you want to retail in person, which is where you can make the most money if you're a small to medium sized clinic.
So don't go too fast, because this so well. Slow down for people like me. So what you're saying is like, listen, because one of the arguments is going to be like, dude, I don't have the room to hold 49 of these things and 72 of these and whatever. Totally understand. Also, they're probably sitting there going, that's a risk, me buying 30 massage guns, and I don't want to be a salesman, which I get too. I also get, but like, I've been a clinician. People are always like, just which one do I buy? Here it is. Just point, Jimmy, just point to the one I get that one. They're not even asking how much it costs. Like that's where your insight as a therapist, like you have so when my buddy says, buy these brake pads, I'll put them on for you. I go, done. Coming in tomorrow, coming in hot. Let's go. So you're saying like, hey, listen, if you don't want to hold inventory, you've got to buy either one at a time, but that doesn't make any sense because you've just lost all your margin. You've lost all the money you were going to make shipping it there. Drop shipping, for people who don't know, is like, Joseph's got a warehouse. Jimmy sells one. I swipe the credit card in New York, but it only has to ship one from Pennsylvania to my client down the street. That works because the other thing would be Joseph ships it to Jimmy's clinic, and now Jimmy might have to ship it somewhere. So that the 2x shipping doesn't make any sense either.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure I've caught up.
Yeah.
Like these are just points of friction.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right, keep going.
So one thing you mentioned, let me just break down from start to finish the in-person retail kind of setup, why it hasn't worked in the past.
Yes, do that.
And for all intents and purposes. So a couple things. The reason it hasn't worked in the past is if you buy from a distributor, I feel like I get some hate because I have nothing against distributors. One of my good buddies in the industry runs a distributor. Like there's nothing inherently wrong with them. I love them. Some I love a lot more.
They solve the problem.
Exactly. Like for instance, large clinic groups. Like if you're a Confluent, an ATI, whatever, you're never going to, technically speaking, you're never going to order from somebody like me. Like if you have 900 locations, you want an all-in-one solution. You want to order from the big guys. You want to have one account. You can go and get everything. There's nothing wrong with that. But in terms of if you want to sell stuff in person, the MSRP, or the price that a customer sees, like if you go to Amazon or you go to my website, the price that a patient sees cannot be significantly lower than what you're going to sell it for in your clinic. The price has always been the main issue. Like if you go into a clinic and you buy, and the therapist says, hey, you can buy this for $30 here. And you then go and see that same exact product, same brand, same everything for $20 on Amazon. that creates not only just friction, but you're going to be pissed as
Sure.
maybe not, maybe like, oh, I got this right away. That's great.
Right.
But you might be frustrated. And clinics never wanted to risk making a few dollars reselling something and charge
Risking the
more
relationship.
and upset a patient that is worth thousands of dollars, maybe long term. So, and the other issue is if you're ordering a branded product, let's say you order some TheraBand or whatever from great product, right brand. If you order that from a distributor, everyone in the line has to make money. The distributor has to make money. TheraBand has to make money. So by the time you get it, there is not enough. You might have a little bit of margin, but there's not enough margin for where, hey, it's worth it to me to resell this to a patient. I might make 20%. Why would I do all of this or buy extra if I'm going to make $5? And also, those companies, just like every other, it's nothing wrong with this, just like every other product retail company, there's Black Friday sales, there's Amazon Prime Day, there's join the email list, get 20% off. So price is kind of always changing, like on the consumer facing end. So when you add all that up, a lot of people are right in the sense that why would I as a PT risk frustrating a patient to potentially make 20 or 30%, stock up on extra inventory, when I might not sell it. It's just not like no retailer would buy a product if they could only resell it and make 20%. Like all the retailers, Walmart, Dick's Sporting Goods, all of them, they're making at least 75%, if not more.
Wow. See, I didn't understand the math there. I knew they made money because otherwise you can't keep the lights on. There's the reason. I didn't realize what the percentage was.
Yeah. So when I say they make 75%, like if they buy a product from a manufacturer for $10, they're going to mark it up at least 50 is a minimum. They're like that product will probably sell for $17 to $20, at least for Walmart, because
they've got to pay for their store,
overhead,
their employees, their insurance,
all of it. And stuff racks up pretty quick. So, So why would a physical therapy clinic owner be any different? As in, if they want to retail something, they should obviously want to make money. So for me, there's a couple things I do, which kind of makes it possible, at least in my head. The first is the price a patient sees, at least for my stuff, Amazon, website, whatever. I make a promise and I guarantee the clinic owners that your patient will never, ever see any of my stuff for less money than you are selling it for in your clinic, assuming you stay within the guidelines. As in, now, if you want to jack the price up even more than you can sell it for on Amazon, which I don't recommend because there's already plenty of margin.
Right.
No one does that, by the way. But if you did, then I'm not going to say that their patient goes on Amazon, they're going to see it for less. But and with that, there's a 75% markup guaranteed, 75% minimum. Most of the time, it's 100%. And people often wonder, well, how is that possible? How can I buy in bulk? Now, the key word is in bulk. So you can't just buy one stretching strap from me and expect to then go around, and sell it with 75% markup minimum, because shipping, again,
is going to kill that.
Is more expensive than the product. However, if you buy 20 items total, 15, 20 items. So this is where people think that they need to spend thousands of dollars. Not the case. The majority of my clients or customers buy anywhere from $150 worth of stuff to, obviously there are people that spend thousands if they want to, have a large order, but $150 to $400
for one order.
Yeah, for one order. And that they can get stretching straps, different resistance bands.
Because it's all going to fit in one box.
It's all going to fit in one box. And the marginal cost, like the additional cost for me to ship one more unit, that's what I try to explain to people. Like if I ship 20 items, the additional cost for me to ship 21 is about 15 cents, maybe 20 cents. So we go from shipping one item, which might be, if you live in California, it ships from Pennsylvania, that might be $7, $8, whatever the case is. Well, if you're ordering 30, that, each item you add, the marginal cost goes down on a shipping cost per unit basis. So now fulfillment becomes, I don't want to say free, but a significantly less of a problem in the overall equation. So now you can get products at very, very low pricing. So you're saving on supply costs because you're going to use this same stretching strap with patients. You're going to use the same resistance band. You then take the extras, put them at the front desk. Again, it's one box. So anyone that's crying about, I don't want to hold inventory or there's too much capital involved, it's too risky. I'm like, I'm not forcing people to spend thousands of dollars. They can literally spend $200 pretty much get the same price. It all comes in one box. You don't need storage. You don't need,
This is where I buy stick tape and shin pad tape from Howie's Hockey. And I can buy a roll of tape, but what they charge me for a roll of tape versus if they on their website, it's a box builder. They're like, you can do this many rolls of this or this many rolls. They're keeping track. I just keep adding to cart until it tells me the box is filled. And it's sort of like I'm now understand. I always sort of knew they did it to sell more tape, but also like, I'm not going to buy a 2-hour roll of tape and then $7 in shipping. That doesn't make any sense. Yep. But the box would cost $7 so they can drop the cost of the tape when I fill the box.
Yeah. I mean, it's classic. I mean, if you go to Costco, the more stuff that you order, the cheaper that we can make them. It's not because I want you to order more stuff. Yes. But if you want the pricing that it's not possible for me to offer that pricing with you just ordering 2 or 3. It's kind of like trying to help each other out here.
That's why when I go to buy shaving cream at Costco, I buy 4 because they're taped together, because that's how it works. Otherwise, that math doesn't math to spend $8.
Yeah, exactly. And Costco is a great example. I love Costco, and I love Costco for a lot of reasons. But one of the reasons is I forget his name, but when the founder kind of launched Costco, everyone told you never going to work. You can't operate on that thin margin. No way, no way. And if you look at their their annual report, 65 to 70% of their net profit is membership fees. And the other 30% is actually, it's like they do 250 billion in sales, and they made 7 to 10 billion. So they almost make, when you factor in, overhead, all that kind of stuff, employee costs, they almost break even on everything they're selling. And then membership fees is where they make 70% of their net profit.
They're in the access business.
Yeah.
I also think that PTs are should be in the access business and not in the charging for CPT code business. Is there anybody who's doing in-clinic retail well, in your opinion? Like, do they have a display? Like, quite literally the basics. Do they have a display? Have they even decided this is a good idea? Because if someone asks, where do I get that gun? Oh, we have them in the back. I can get you one, is different than when I walk in, I see a rack, like similar to like Oakley in my mind does it right. If you're an Oakley retailer, they're like, we're going to give you the case. Don't worry about it. Because we need our stuff to show up the same way every single time. Is there anybody that you work with who does in-clinic retail well from when I understand what's going on here perspective?
Yes, for sure. And it might surprise you, at least from what I've found from all of the clinic owners I work with, some are small. They have 1 location. Some are, I would say, medium. They have 10 or more locations. That the clinics that do the best, it has nothing to do with their presentation. It has nothing to do with, they have a beautiful wall set up. They spent, paid a contractor $10,000 to come in. They have everything hanging up. Everything looks great. It has everything to do with the teamwork between, like the training between the clinician and the front desk. And I was very surprised to hear how much pushback clinic owners got from certain, employees or PTs saying that they didn't want to sell anything. And kind of what we had to come up with was, hey, look, all it is a suggestion. We're not Wolf of Wall Street here, forcing resistance bands down patients to try to make a couple extra dollars. It is a convenience. They get it for the same price. And which kind of really pushes them over the edge is there's a higher probability that a patient will start their home exercise program and finish it if they go home with the products that they need day one, versus if you send them home 3 or 4 days have gone by and you tell them, oh, go order it on Amazon. Like, oh yeah, I'll take care of that. Like, most patients, they're not going to take care of it, but also psychologically to them, it feels like another purchase. Like after they've left your office 3 days later, I don't want to spend another $40 on this stuff versus
solve my problem.
They kind of lump it. Yeah. They lump it in with the cost of care. It has a different feel to them because it was referred to them by their therapist. They're more likely to use it, even though we all know it's the same strap that they would have bought on Amazon. Nothing changes, but The delivery method changed. The price didn't change.
Psychologically, I want to take out my credit card one time. Like, you know, how many times I see something on Instagram and I go to buy it and I'm going to a random website that doesn't have my information saved. And then I just go and look at it on Amazon and I go, they have the same thing. Is it close? Got it.
Yep.
We're big dumb animals, and trying to convince big dumb animals to act outside of their big dumb animal nature, you'll lose. We will.
I mean, Amazon does I think it was like 40-something% of e-commerce purchases in the United States, and
wild.
I mean, and that's another part of the equation that we can get into. But like, why? Like, in my head, the way I see it is therapists unlock a lot of value for direct to consumer brands, and the brands either don't see it, don't know it, or don't want to pay, or they do know it, they just don't want to. They've been forced to pay. And like, one thing I told another clinic owner is, if you offered me, if I could wake up tomorrow and you said, Joseph, you can instantly be in clinics nationwide, ATI, Select Medical, Confluent, all of them, and you had to sell all of your products at true break-even cost, meaning if you did 50 million in sales, your cost was exactly 50 million. All the work, all the hassle, you made no money. Would you do it? In a heartbeat. You're telling me that my products are being used in front of and with 20 million Americans, brand name, everything, and I get to do that for free? 100% easily. Absolutely, I would do that, because a subset of them, what are they going to do when they need something? They're going to remember, what did I use in my PT? Oh, let me go to Amazon. Let me search that company up. And then I make money on direct to consumer orders. So it's, even if I had to sell it for and make no money, I would still do it.
Makes sense. I mean, this goes along with the thing that we're talking about that I think eventually will be true, which is attention and relationship has value. It has to. People are mad when they lose a relationship and excited when they start one. That means it has value. And we've talked about this before on our live stream, which is, do you think there's a clinic in the future that could operate solely on the revenue it generates from essentially provide PT for free, break even and make money to pay everybody and keep the lights on and all of it based on everything else around it? Like, there's a subset of these, probably because I watched one video for 5 minutes. Now I see 50 of them, which is the guy who, his name's Victor, and he just drives around with a camera in his pickup truck and he gets people off the street. He drives around and talks to addicts on the street, and he's like, I'm gonna pay for you to go fly to Florida and be in a treatment facility. Enough people watch that video, and he says you can donate on my website. Enough people watch those videos because they're compelling stories that, Facebook is giving him money for keeping them on platform. Enough people have seen them that some of them have given him money to pay for his time, effort, and flying people to Florida and paying for drug and alcohol treatment programs. Like, think about that. Like, it's being done. My only question from a comms guy is, are there enough compelling enough stories in a PT clinic being told, and is someone willing to go all in and try to do this? I don't even think you need to go all in. I think you can do a little bit of it.
I mean, I feel like the closest person is someone that we both know fairly well. Like if you look at the numbers that Tony Maritato posts for, all of his patients have to sign, it's all kind of part of the deal. Like, hey, this billing insurance would basically make no money, so we're gonna kind of subsidize it. He's probably the closest person that I've seen to, hey, I'm gonna make the majority of my money from affiliate sales on Amazon, from content on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatnot. And somebody could go a step further where, this would be interesting to see what Tony thinks about this. But if he shifted his content to say, hey, look, because of people like you watching and buying products or donating potentially, we give physical therapy care for free. We don't bill anybody. And all the people in here are getting care 100% free. The only kind of rub is you have to be able, if you want free care, this is how we pay for it, you have to be able to let us film so that we can, obviously not anything that's going to share your name, personal information, whatnot. But that'd be very interesting, because there's another guy that I watch, I forget his name, but he walks around, he hands out free food to the homeless.
Yes.
And he's got multiple million subscribers.
It's a compelling story.
Yeah, like I don't see why that couldn't work in physical therapy. It'd be very interesting to see who'd be the first person to do it.
Like there being a multi-clinic site would make it harder because a camera doesn't care how many people, you know what I mean? Like here, if you were super small and lean, you can still the barrier to reach 1 million people is the same as if you're huge. It doesn't really, but it costs less if you're a smaller, leaner ship, which is what Tony is. Tony's like, well, I don't have any more people than I need to have in a clinic, just enough to provide the level of care I want to provide, and not a person more, not a nickel more. That makes sense to me. Who has to do something to make everything you're talking about obvious? Like right now, every couple of years is a new generation, and every generation has a little bit of different thought than the one before or behind it, or vastly different. Like it just changes, right? We try to talk about boomers and X and Ys and Zs and all the different whatever. But at what point does this become not just something you think and something that like 20%, 40%, 51% of a profession eventually just goes, it's not, that is the way?
I mean, from what I've seen, I think there's a couple factors. One, the slow and steady declining reimbursement rate has kind of forced some PT's hand in terms of, hey, we have to do something. We're gonna offer stretching. We're gonna put a sauna in. We're gonna offer some type of cash pay, whatever it is. And product retail is kind of something that people often think about and kind of gets brought up, and so that has helped. A new generation of PTs is definitely important because there's a lot of product companies that have been around for a really long time, and there's like the general PT population that say 50 plus has been using these same products for their entire career, and the chance that you're going to get them to switch is borderline zero.
Right.
But a new generation of PT is like, hey, wait, I want my clinic to be as profitable as possible. These products are very, very similar with very minute differences oftentimes. So why don't I just buy this one that has a retail application? I can save on supply costs. Like I also have people that they just want to save on supplies. Like for the stuff I sell, they don't retail any of it.
Right.
Like they know about everything that I've said, but to them, they're like, it's fine. I'm just happy with the saving on supplies. But I think the newer generation of PTs is huge. Declining reimbursements is a big thing, but also, to my knowledge, I know there's a ton of companies that are like they kind of push retail. It's like, oh, like you should sell products. Like patient retail is a great way to make extra money, but they don't really do much about it. As in, like for me, everything from like where I source the products, how much I pay for the products, margin, everything start to finish. I mean, it does help that my brother does own the 3PL that I use. So friends and family pricing is a huge advantage, but like everything from start to finish is set up so that you can successfully retail products. Like, I just don't know if there's ever been a company that their sole focus is helping clinics actually retail stuff.
Oh yeah. Right. A bunch of companies have, it's been like one person's kind of part of their job.
Yeah.
I feel like, anyway, that's just from my experience. I mean, someone might know
Yeah,
more.
like the amount of people that told me clinic retail doesn't work is astounding. Like I've had like big people in the space, not gonna name them, insiders, people that own product companies, people that have told me we tried this, and then they tell me what they've tried. And in my head, it's laughable. Like, yeah, we offer them 20%.
That's why and you're like, oh, got it. Yeah, that doesn't work. That should not work.
And then these product companies, like I met some at CSM, hilarious. We have a patient retail program. Yeah. We give them 15% professional pricing so that they can resell to patients. I'm like, wait, during Cyber Monday, don't you offer 30% off?
It's over.
It's over. So then there's that, but also, I just don't think no one has done it or gone all out in the sense of like, we're gonna die on this hill and we're gonna make it possible.
Because I like boiling things down to the elements, right? Like, what does retail mean? Like, pretend you're dumb and you don't know what it is. But like, maybe we know it too well. So like, what do you need? It's like, well, I need a problem or a set of problems for the consumer to have. I need to have a solution or solutions to those problems that they believe that they're willing to part with some money to attempt to solve it with that. And you need a place for that interaction to occur. That could be a website or it could be a physical location. Now, you can say, well, my website has traffic, and you could do it there, or you could have commerce happen in your clinic. And I feel that there are advantages and disadvantages to both of those things. Where I think the in-person clinic has an advantage is someone might have just had an experience with a licensed professional that they just paid and trusted for 60 minutes one time or 60 minutes 50 times over the last 10 years. They know, like, and trust that person. So when that person goes, hey, how do you solve this? It's like, I use that. There it is right there. You could have one of those that I use before you hit your car. So I feel like you need a problem, solution, and a place for the interaction to take place. That's retail, right? I mean, am I missing anything?
No, you're not missing anything at all. And I actually think one of the biggest hindrances is actually the physical therapists themselves. Like I mentioned before, the amount of pushback that owners have gotten, or from managers, like from the therapist, they say, they don't want to feel like they're selling anything or whatnot. And I've had to do like live Zoom calls where like all the therapists, owners, everybody's there, and I'm walking them through and saying, hey, look, it's like I kind of had to reassure them that, at least rightfully so, in their mind, they've been trained to think that the only way that we can sell something to a patient and make money is to screw them and charge them significantly more than they can get the same thing for on Amazon. And they all said, yeah, they just scroll on Amazon and we tell them what to buy, which proved my point even further. These companies
are already doing
are getting a ton of revenue because these PTs are like, oh, just go on Amazon, buy that. That's a physical therapist recommending and kind of showing, hey, buy that product or brand. So once they saw, like, when I kind of walked them through the price model, I'm like, hey, look, this is what your clinic is paying for. Like, everyone, this is what you're paying for this thing. This is what it sells for. If your patient goes to Amazon, this is what they're going to pay. You are giving it to them faster. Most of the times they're saving money or paying the same amount. They get it faster. It's a product that you recommend.
Time is also money. We've heard that cliche. Like, if I can have it now versus 3 days from now, and I need it now. There's some stuff I don't care. There's some stuff I have to buy on Amazon or through their website. Like, I have an espresso machine, so I can't buy their pods. They won't work, which sort of pisses me off because I'm like, you don't sell these at Costco? And they're like, no, we want to make all the monies. And I'm like, all right, I understand that, but I want that, so I will do your dance. I understand.
Even if the customer did have to pay more, like, my thing to them is like, do you think that, like, a company like Dick's Sporting Goods, for example, is immoral because they charge more for their resistance bands in their store than you could technically find those bands for on, let's say, Walmart.com or Amazon.com? No. I was like,
we play these games. We know that there's a price. And companies make you play these games with coupons or sign up for my email or get my text messages. It's all a game. We've just decided that we don't even want to play because it feels icky. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm not in the break-even business. The funny part is the Venn diagram of the therapist, in my opinion, I'm making an assumption here, so don't come burn my house down. The therapist who's like, I don't want to sell something, and the one who's like, I want to get paid more, is a circle.
Yep.
And that bothers me. It should bother other therapists too.
I mean, I had a clinic owner. They own a couple locations. They're down south, I'll say it that way. And I was talking with her, and originally they wanted to do patient retail. And then the clinicians came back and said, oh, that sounds like a lot of work, just making a suggestion. We don't want to do that, whatever. And then she's like, a couple of days later in a staff meeting, we're talking about compensation and how I could go to a bigger place and make more money. And she was like, it was kind of the perfect aha moment where everyone's like, hey, look, she's like, I'm a small clinic owner. You act like there's this treasure trove of money just floating around that I'm refusing to give you. That's not the case. There's very little money to give anybody. So we're all in this together. If we want to offer stretching services or do all these things, you want to make more money, I just want to give you the opportunity. If these patients buy these things, you'll get a percentage of that. These are just ways that we can, generate more revenue, have the patient be happy. And the last thing that I kind of like, I say, or that I laugh about, is when I see all these LinkedIn posts about, again, like stretching services, awesome. You want to offer a sauna, cold plunge, people can use, wellness stuff. That's great. we have clinic owners that want to go down that road, but they haven't even proven that they can sell a $15 stretching strap to a patient and even manage 5 extra units, but they want to go drop $50K on, sauna infrared consulting services, all this kind of stuff. I was like, how about you just prove it to yourself and your team that you can make $100 because you've operated under an insurance model, which is very different than actually having to sell something for a cash rate. Supply and demand equation applies. Like getting people to part with their money is a lot harder than just, insurance, whatever. It's like prove you can make a couple $100 selling some bands, and then you don't have to do it forever. And then you can, add all these other services that you want to add, which I love all of them, by the way. But
my only problem is I've got friends who put like a sauna or like a cold and then they're charged per use, and I'm like, dude, nobody in 2026 like they're literally like, hey, we'll charge you $40 a use, or it would normally be $90. I'm like, charge me one time and I can use it as many times as I want, or a certain number of times per week or month. That's the business I would like to be in, which is don't be a transaction business, be a relationship business. Like imagine I said all the time, imagine you got charged, even if it was 11 cents every time you pushed play on a Netflix movie, you'd be like, you'd be thinking of the money and not the maybe.
Yeah.
Just charge me $22 a month and let me click around and do all that. That's what I look at. Side quest would be APTA state chapters being like, you pay for membership and then you pay for the CEU courses. But I'm like, you're not good at those things, because my membership costs me $600 to be a member of APTA, then a state chapter, then maybe a section, an academy or two. I could just get all those CEUs for that. That's going to cost me $500 at least. I could just go to MedBridge and knock it all out for $300 and have $200 for a latte a day for the rest of the quarter. Like that math don't math. Understand what business you're in. If you're a clinic owner, you're in the getting person better business. That doesn't only happen when they're on a table. Doesn't.
I mean, all these car washes are popping up. Every single one of them, most of them, you have to buy membership. Like if you want to use it, it's memberships only, or you can pay the outrageous $35.
Make it uncomfortable. Okay, I'll let you use it once. It's $200, or it's $207 a month. Like just make it ridiculous. Make it a no-brainer to be part of this instead of transaction-y. It just, because when I look at it, when something like I've got friends who do this, and they're like, well, we charge $40, but you can use the infrared and the cold plunge. And I'm like, I wouldn't pay for that. I would pay $100 a month or something so I could be part of this club. Imagine your gym charged you every time you walked in. You'd be disenfranchised to becoming healthy. That's the business they're supposedly in.
This is, I don't know if anyone's ever done this before, but this is the clinic that my mom works at. This is very interesting. The owner, I don't know how many years ago he did this, but obviously everyone's always, it's an insurance mostly business, and they're kind of transitioning over to hybrid. They want to offer performance services and whatnot. But before they even got to that, he came up with an idea where a lot of PTs are salary. So every minute they're not actually doing something, it's kind of, you could say it's costing the business. If they have an hour time slot, there's no patients or whatever the case is. So he said, all right, what if we, and it worked great, by the way, what if we offer a monthly subscription? I think there was different
tiers,
offers, like $50 or $100 a month. And you get to come into the space as often as you want, work out and use all of the equipment, with the added benefit that if a therapist is not busy, they're not going to come over and bill your insurance, but like they'll come over and give pointers as like if they see you doing exercise wrong. So you get to work out in an environment where professionals are kind of watching you. Obviously, if everyone's busy, then you're on your own. But oftentimes there's always a PTA walking around, or a PT that might not have a patient. Somebody canceled. So getting $100 a month is a lot of money. And a lot of people took it, and they're also like, where else can I pay? I mean, $50 or $100 a month and get kind of expert guidance. Most of the time I'm there.
Right.
And everybody was like, and it worked out well. And I'm just kind of thinking of like ideas like that.
Tony does that. Tony Maritano does that, which he's like, all right, you're done, but you want to keep coming back because you like the vibe, or you want access to what do you like? Oversight, vibe, fellow people working out, tools. We got all of that. We got expertise, equipment, people. Which ones do you want? Got it. It's and then there's no clear door for people to swipe their credit card to do that. If you do it and you make sure people understand the value, people show up. It's amazing what happens when you show people value, then give them a chance to buy into that value. They show up. Access.
Yeah. All of this stuff, I feel like I think I posted about recently. Like I personally think that a lot of this kind of declining reimbursement stuff, again, I don't want to say it's good, but in terms of like long term, like where the PT industry is at, like I think it's better long term,
Yes.
for the industry. And obviously,
I said it. I think an episode or two ago, which is like, it's going to knock out the people who can't adapt. This is evolution, right? I don't want to see anybody lose their jobs, but I'm like, you adapt or die is not something cute that we learned in 8th grade and we don't move. It's not good. We move on. Like, adapt or die. Screaming about it in a Facebook group doesn't help. Maybe it feels good for 12 minutes. Great. Do it. Complain. Then put your shoes back on. Do something about it. If that cannot be the only game you're playing. It can't be. I mean, I talk about this with state chapters. I don't even need to guess. I'm like, let me take a wild guess. If things continue the way they are, you will be insolvent in several years. And they're like, and nobody answers me. Everybody just does this.
Maybe.
No one says
50-50.
yes. But everybody just like, their face tenses up and they're like, maybe, I don't know. And I'm like, great. So are you now apt to do something different? Are you open to the suggestion doesn't have to be my suggestion, but are you now in a position where you'll do something different? Yes. Great. Here's one path. And then I explain to them what I'm looking to do. Mine's stunningly simple. Did I run this by you?
No, I don't think so.
All right. You're an APTA state chapter. You have 3 problems. You need new members. You need to keep your current members happy and engaged to keep them around. And then you need non-dues revenue. You need a way to make money that isn't just dues. They're not Costco. They're not going to make money on dues because they're due. Here's also why. If you pay the APTA $300, which I am pro APTA, but get your expectation in alignment. You pay the APTA $300, you get some of that. So I can't just be an APTA Pennsylvania member or an APTA New York member. I have to be an APTA national member, and then I'm also a state member. So of the 3 problems, need new members, need to keep members engaged in non-dues revenue. You don't have a lot of control over the new members. That's sort of an APTA funnel issue. So I say pay attention to the 2 that you can. Keeping members engaged, non-dues revenue. So here's what Jimmy looks at. And of course, Jimmy has a hammer, so all he sees is a nail. But okay, let's play this. You all need a YouTube channel and a podcast. They're like, okay, yeah, that would help. That you could put your members on so they could be seen and learn from. Okay, yeah, let's pretend Jimmy's right. We agree with him. Okay, yeah, a podcast would be good. But you don't have the tools, the training, or the time, the people, or the process to do that once a week. You're not going to do it for more than 2 weeks. You're just not. You're a volunteer organization, has volunteers. Volunteer efforts gets volunteer results. Someone will do it for 3 weeks and then it'll die off. You know how it'll happen. So here's Jimmy's pitch. I'm going to come in and I'm going to launch your YouTube channel and your podcast. And we're going to have an interview per week that goes out that you can then share via email, your website, your social channels. I'm also going to create social content around this. I'm going to do this, but I'm actually going to find the money for you. We're not going to start producing content, which means you don't owe me anything, until I go to industry and find sponsors who want to talk to your audience, because you're in the access and belonging business, not in the membership business. So I don't start production until I've already found enough money to pay me and make you margin for 12 months. Then we start. And then the minute we start, we still look for new sponsors. We don't just stop doing that. That's my pitch. This way, if they're like, well, what happens if we look for sponsors and we don't find anything? I don't make anything. You don't lose anything. I don't turn the camera on. Well, what happens if we do? Then I make stuff and you've made money and we keep looking for new money so I can keep making stuff. Now, all of our successes are aligned. Sponsors want access to your members. Members want to be seen, heard, understood, and learn stuff. I want to make stuff and make money so I can pay my mortgage. And everybody's like, that's my only angle. So in 2026, that's my game. But really, it's explaining, like, I understand what your problem is. I'm here to help you solve it. If you're not open for me solving it, I'm not going to waste air. But I feel like clinic revenue should be there because they need money. Like, I feel like when you show up, they should be like, teach us, go, How do I make the money?
I mean, like, I love that, by the way. This is the first time I've heard you. I'll see all your posts, but this is the first time I've heard you kind of summarize it to what you're going to do. Also, at least in my experience, sponsors, specifically in this industry, pay a lot of money for like exactly for the stuff that you're talking about, because it's very, very expensive. Like if you're an EMR or any of these kind of stuff, running Facebook ads, sales funnels, lead gen, it's a very, very expensive to actually get a client, like to get a PT clinic owner. Like that's like, so you're not kind of optimizing for, hey, I'm going to do a Mr. B style. I need 20 million views. You don't need a ton of views. You just need a couple eyeballs from actual clinic owners and decision makers. So I love that. One of the things I try to break down as best I can to clinic owners is, like, everyone loves to talk about top line revenue. Oh, are you $1 million clinic? Are you a $2 million clinic? That all sounds great. I want to know, are you a profitable clinic?
Right.
So like when people look at like, oh, like talking with clinic owners and like, let's say like a great scenario, like a high volume clinic that has 5 or 10 clinicians, a ton of patients going in and out. It is very doable to make $30,000 to $40,000 in retail revenue in a year. If you're like a small clinic that has maybe 1 or 2 PTs, you're not going to do that. But if you have 5 or 10 PTs, it's totally doable to sell $30,000 to $40,000 of products in a year. Your margin on that is about $20,000. Because again, if you're selling something for $10, your cost, at least for me, and my guarantee is it'd be $5 or less, because you're guaranteed 75 to 100% markup. So you're going to make, if you do $40K in revenue, you're going to make $20K roughly. So people think, oh, $40K in revenue, my business does $1 million. That's pointless. Or like that doesn't really help me. Yeah, let's take a look. If you do $1 million, you might only be netting 70 grand, 80 grand. A lot of these people are operating on single digit margins. So what if we went from 60 grand to 80 grand by only adding 40 grand of revenue? You just increase your net from 60 to 80. That's a 33% increase in net profit by adding simple stuff like this. And again, your PTs, like this sounds bad, but like PTs, sunk cost. Your space, sunk cost. All of this kind of stuff is a sunk cost that's already paid for. So adding these kind of additional, whether it's stretching or whatnot, it's just, they're very profitable, because you have to, as a business owner, you have to find out, wait, of the $1 million, let's say 700,000 of my costs are set. Like I don't, these people are here, I'm already paying them. Everything is already, is already included. So I got to find ways to generate revenue but not adding additional costs. So product retail, getting these PTs to do other things that generate money. That's the game at a high level that everyone's trying to play, whether it's cash-based services, selling packages, fitness, wellness, products. It's all centered around, we're spending all of our money on the space and the PTs. We need to find a way to monetize and become more profitable by using them in a different way. That's
parting shot.
Pretty much it.
Joseph, what's your parting shot? What do you got? Last thing we do on the episode, your sort of mic drop moment, soapbox statement. What do you got?
My prediction is that over the next 10 years, whether through me or through other clinics, we are going to see our first 7 to 8 figure, like million to multi-million dollar brand product deal with a PT group.
Huh. Because,
as you mentioned many times, attention is the most valuable commodity you can get. And PTs are going to ATI can fill all these companies. They're going to start to say, hey, wait, 1.2 million patient visits and we're not making anything in these product companies. Wait a second. What if we go to Roy? What if we go to these companies and we partner up? I'm telling you, it's going to happen. And I would love to be the one to do it. But someone is going to get a large check. First, it's going to start out with like maybe 5 grand, 10 grand, and then it's going to keep building. And someone's going to get a 7-figure amount, one of these groups.
Okay. If someone wanted to reach you, where are they going? What's the best way?
LinkedIn's good to go.
Okay. Joseph, appreciate the time, man. Thanks for being on the show. Thanks for doing this. It'll be funny to do this in a year or two and just notice the difference and be like I would love to just be like, we did this a year ago and then here's what's changed, either perception or numbers. Like those would be fun to see, like over time, to see if perception and attitude and priorities have changed. So looking forward to that.
Me as well. I'm down.